Hey, welcome back to Rob's Garage Woodworking. Today I'm going to show you how to make this spice rack. Now, this spice rack, I've used these 500 milliliter mason jars, and I just used like a 2-inch label to print on that, and then that also fits on the lid. And you can fit a lot of your spices in this. This way it will use all the larger spice jars, and this way you can standardize them so it makes them look nice. And also with these, if you have like a big bag of spices, like we got a big bag of paprika, and I think I've got 3 paprikas in here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, right here. Yeah, 3 jars of it. So that way you can, just have multiples of it, and you just get rid of your big jar that doesn't fit in anywhere, and that way you can have it all together. So this is a fairly large one. I built this into the wall and anchored it into the drywall on the other side. I'll show you the whole thing. It's really easy. It's just a shelf, and then you trim it out on the front with some just standard baseboard trim. So you can either make it out of melamine. I made mine out of pine because that's what I had. And yeah, it's nice, simple, easy to make spice rack, and size it to your needs, whatever you think your needs are, and then make it bigger because you're going to need more. This one I made holds 63 jars, and out of 63 jars I only have 2 empties down at the bottom. So it could have been a little bit bigger after all. But alright, so I've measured 21 inches from my blade to my stop block, and I just crank the stop block in there. And then what I can do is make multiple cuts all at the same time. So now I set my stop block for 52.5, and I'm going to make the 2 sides. So now I'm going to rip the wood down to 2 3/4 inch width. Alright, so now I have some 1/4 inch ply panels that we're going to cut to 22.5. 22.5. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is lay out where all the shelves go. So it's 3/4. Plus 5 is 5 3/4. Plus 3/4 is 6.5. Plus 5 is 11.5. So now I put the 2 sides together, and I make sure that they're even. Then I use my square here, and I just transfer the line. And you can do this for every one. And that way it lays out both of them at the same time. It's nice and easy. Alright, so now I'm just going to take some wood glue, and I'm going to run a bead of glue on each one of these shelf butt joints. In between, Line them up. Put in a couple of brads. For each one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to countersink some screws here. Number 6 by 1 1/4 Robertsons. Alright, so now I'm going to put the back on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark, basically the center of each one of these shelves. Right? Do that to the other side as well. I'll take my meter stick and just draw a line across, and this is going to be my nailing line. So once again, we're going to glue this in place. So let's see here. Now I carefully set this on. Even it up. And the top. Even it up. Alright, and now we're going to use 3/4 inch brads and just tack it in place. Alright, so this spice rack is going to be mounted inside my 2x4 wall. It's a little divider wall in between the fridge and just basically to cover the edge of the kitchen. So I'm going to mount this in the drywall, and I have to space it out so that the front of it is flush with the drywall. So I needed a spacer that was going to be 1 1/16 inches. Okay. So this one's like an old piece of barn board, so it's a little bit bigger than 3/4, and then I've got the 1/4 inch here. So that makes my 1 1/16. And the way I'm going to mount it is I'm going to drill through into the sides here, into the sides of the spice rack, and that is going to mount to this board. We'll mount to that, and then the board has an overhang, and then I'm going to drill through the drywall on the other side where the fridge side is, and I'm going to drill into that spot, or screw into this, and that will be the mount for it. Drill into that a little bit. Oops. And these screws are 2.5 inches. Okay. All right, now I'm going to put some more on here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to sand all the edges so that you don't get any slivers off the edges. And I'm going to sand the face down so it just looks nice and smooth. There's no saw marks or anything. So we'll do that. So this is a 2x4 dividing wall. It's not a supporting wall. It just basically covers my fridge. My fridge is right here and just separates the hallway and the living room from the kitchen. So I cut it a little bit larger than the space I need for the spice rack, and I put a spacer at the bottom. I'm going to put the spice rack in and shim it in place. Slide that in. Oh, and here you'll see, I think I showed you earlier, but I have these side pieces. That's what I'm going to screw through from the back wall into this to hold it in place. So, should be good. To get into this spot here, it's going to be, say, center that 3 1/8. Well, 3 1/4. I'll center it at 3 1/4 on the other side. All right, so I'm just going to use 1 1/4 number 8 Robertsons. And we'll there we go. That one's good. It's still level. You probably just maybe not quite see the hole where the screw came through. So got quite a few of them. It's in super sturdy. It's on top of the bottom here, on top of the 2x4, and then on this side it's screwed in as well. So we have, I hate how they did this. So they put the ceramics onto the side where the fridge goes. Like, you didn't need to put ceramics there, just to the back of the fridge here. But anyway, that's what they did. So I screwed in between the ceramics, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on this side we have 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's good and strong, and like they say, that's not going anywhere. So we're going to put the trim on this, so you have to mark out the reveal. So I leave a small reveal here, so the trim will go from here to here, and we're going to nail it in. And so to make my reveal, I use my square, my tri-square, and I set this so that there's a small little piece at the top like that. Okay, and that's going to be my mark. So what I do is I line this square up the back, and then I mark it where the ruler is, right? And so I set my reveal here down for the corner, and here, and I mark that off where they intersect, and that's my measurement from that mark at the bottom to the top, and from here to the other side. And that's how I measure my trim. So I got to measure that now and mark it down right on the corner, and then line this up to my next mark in the middle here, and we're gonna shoot the brad. Line up our bottom piece. So for the inside I used 1-inch brads. For the outside I'm going to use 2-inch brads. Alright, so I'm using the Bernardin 250 milliliter jars. These are the mason jars. And so this is what they look like. It says Bernardin on here. And I have my labels, but my labels that fit here, it would be too high if I put them over top of that. So I have to turn that around. Right. So here's some sesame seeds. So what I've done is using this 3/4 inch pine as a reference. So I put that there, grab my label, line up the label to the bottom, and then just try to center it as much as possible. Make sure that it's level. And then, like that. Press that in. Then on the lid, centered on the lid. And these are the Avery labels. They're 2-inch labels. So that's what I ended up printing from their website. Pretty simple. There was a lot nicer ones available, but they didn't have any on their website, so it was hard to do. So I just used these, and this is the finished product. That's what it looks like. And then it has label on the top, so you can always see what you're doing. Label on the front. Okay? Alright, so this is it. This is the final product. We've got a space for 63 jars. I printed labels for it. I went and got labels from Staples, and they were Avery labels. So they have on their website, they have a little label maker on their website. It's not the greatest for spices, but it depends on what you want them to look like. Anyway, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's nice and simple. All the spices are uniform. My wife loves to cook, so that's why we've got a ton of spices here. We've got seeds, spices, combinations of spices like dry rubs and things like that, all sorts of stuff, right? And anyway, yeah, because she loves to cook. So this is what I made for her. So it frees up some kitchen space, obviously. We had all sorts of bags and stuff in a little container, and what a pain in the neck that was. And whenever you pull something out, you'd spill spice everywhere. It was terrible. So anyway, this solves that problem, and it looks good. All right, thanks for watching.